So there are a lot of approaches to improving communication in relationships. In fact, I have a whole playlist on tips on improving communication. But marriage therapists are finding that one specific approach is leading to a lot of success for couples who are looking to strengthen the communication in their relationship. And that's what I want to talk about in today's video. Before we jump in, if you have not downloaded the free guide to intimacy, you'll see a link in the description area below. If communication is your struggle, and I'm assuming it is because you're watching this video, I want to give you a $100 off offer to our best-selling communication course. It's called Closing the Communication Gap. 19 videos, 4 modules, tons of worksheets. It will give you all that you need, either individually or as a couple, to improve and strengthen communication in your relationship. You'll see a link for that in the description area below, and you can use the code RelationShots because here you are for that $100 off. So, marriage therapists are finding that great success with couples improving their communication by focusing on decreasing the ways they devalue one another, but increasing the ways that they value one another in the relationship. So I'm just going to give you 5 simple, practical ways to improve the way that you maybe should be valuing your spouse or partner in the relationship. So, thought number 1 is directly communicate your love for them. I know, earth-shattering, whoa, stop the presses, what a great idea, Eric. Listen, I know some of you subscribe to the I told you I loved you at the wedding, and I'll let you know if it ever changes. And that's all great and well, but probably your spouse is going to want some reminders along the way on the journey of marriage that you do in fact love them. But the problem comes in that often the ways that we choose or the ways we express love are not the same ways they hear, understand, and receive love, right? So a lot of men express their love by providing for their wives, by protecting and giving safety to their wives, and that's important. But wives also want an emotional connection. They also want it verbalized to them. So a lot of times, fellas, we got to get better at verbally expressing the fact that we love our wives. It's not too hard to say, I love you. I appreciate you. I'm grateful for you. I'm so lucky to have you, right? And wives, on the other side, have often been told that the way to a man's heart is food and sex. And that's not entirely wrong, but men also do have some emotions as well. So I'm sure, ladies, your husbands probably want to hear some appreciation from time to time, some encouragement from time to time when the world's beating them up, maybe some affirmation or admiration. What we've got to do to increase value or adding value in our relationship is we got to communicate the fact that we actually love our spouse, and we need to do that on a regular basis. Number 2 thought is we need to celebrate the areas that we value in the relationship, right? What are the positive parts of your relationship? What are the things you value about the relationship? What are the things you enjoy about the relationship? We need to express that. We need to affirm that. We need to appreciate that. We need to say out loud the things that we like about our relationship. What often happens in most relationships is we take for granted the things that are going well, right? Because they're going well. We don't have to put a whole lot of energy into them. And frankly, we all have to decide where and when we're going to give the limited energy that we have left after we've gone to work and run the kids around and cleaned the house and done all the other stuff. We don't have a whole lot of energy left, so we got to determine where we're going to put it. And guess where we usually put all our energy? We put all our energy into communicating about what's not going well in the relationship because that's where the pain points are. And so it's easy for us to neglect celebrating the good parts of the relationship that we actually value and instead spend all our time having communication around what's not working well because we want to fix it so that it's going well and we're not experiencing pain. So I want to encourage you, if you want to add value to your spouse, talk about and celebrate the areas of the relationship that you're enjoying, that are going well, that are positive, that you value. Number 3 thought is listen with respect. Yeah, imagine that. But mutual respect is actually a great catalyst for good communication. And too often, couples, when they're communicating, either purposefully or unconsciously, accidentally, do things that communicate a lack of respect And when you communicate a lack of respect, the other person is probably not all that willing to hear you, let alone keep communicating with you. So when you do things like cut the other person off when they're trying to talk, or maybe you just completely ignore what they're saying to you because all you're doing is preparing what you need to get off your chest in return to them. Maybe you get defensive when they try to express something, or maybe you just completely ignore them altogether. But there are a lot of things that we do that communicate a lack of respect in the relationship. And if your spouse does not feel respected, I'm guessing they're probably not going to put a whole lot of energy into trying to hear what you're saying, listen, understand, empathize, and all the other stuff that you desire from them. So increasing respect in the relationship, listening with respect, letting them finish what they're saying, verifying or validating what they're saying. You know, oftentimes when they express something and we listen, and then we turn around and return with our truth, we're not validating them. That communicates disrespect as well. So listen with respect. Thought number 4 is one word for you: share. Yeah, too often in marriage, we just stop sharing. We feel like they don't care, or maybe we don't feel like talking about it, or maybe they've expressed in the past not a very good response, so we're like, it's not worth sharing. But one of the ways we improve communication is just by letting the other person into our world, right? Share what your experience is at work. Share the feelings that you have, the experiences you have in the relationship. How are you experiencing your relationship with this other person? What are your needs and desires in the relationship? What are your frustrations in the relationship? What are the things you're excited about, not only in the relationship, but in your outside world as well? If you work outside the home, or you've got activities or hobbies with friends or stuff with the kids, express what you're excited about, express what you're fearful about. One of the ways we improve communication and we add value to one another is we actually share with each other. And a lot of times couples just stop sharing with each other. I've got a whole video on reasons couples stop sharing with each other that I'll tag at the end of this video. But we've got to continually share with each other in the relationship if we're going to have good communication. Because if we don't, I'm going to feel like, I'm not sure you value me enough to not share with me. And so I'm not really interested in improving my communication with you. So when we share with people, we let them into our world, it shows that we value them, and that inherently is going to improve communication with your spouse. And the 5th thought I have on communicating is make time for communication. I know, not earth-shattering again, but hear me out on this one. Too many couples have allowed the communication in the relationship to fit in where it can get in, right? Where we just believe that the things we need to talk about are just kind of organically. We're around each other enough. I see you every day. I see you in the morning, in the evening, whatever. We talk enough that all the things we need to talk about are just organically going to work in the conversations. But not all conversations are equal. And I've talked about that in a lot of other videos. There are many different kinds of conversations, right? And so we've got to be specific about when we have what conversations. And you communicate value to your spouse when you are intentional and say, I'm going to make time, maybe even calendar it, but certainly be specific about, I would love to talk with you after dinner, once we get the kids in bed, or when I get done with something at work, or in the morning on the way to work, I want to give you a call. And we are specifically making time for communication with our spouse that speaks value. And it speaks great value to your spouse when you make specific time for the different types of conversations, right? There's connecting conversations, valuing your spouse. And if you do that on a regular basis, your communication as a couple will inherently just increase because you feel more valued. Love to hear your thoughts on any of those. If they work for you, if they haven't worked for you, if you've got some other thoughts on how it might work, drop a comment. Let me know. Let's have a dialogue about it. If you need some help in your communication department, check out our Closing the Communication Gap video course. Again, it's $100 off if you use the code RelationShots, and you can see a link for that below. I'll tag a couple more communication videos at the end of this video if you want to keep talking about communication, and I'll see you next time right back here on RelationShots.